Hello, my Teaserking family. How the hell is everybody today? Yeah, I know it's sad. There's no football on. We'll have to make the best of it. That's the problem with football. You get all these games on the different days of the week. And so you get used to a Saturday college and then Sunday pro, when the playoffs. Then you get to this day where this weekend is only Sunday, the championship games. And nothing next week. And then you get the Super Bowl, which is on late. And then it's over. And we got to go watch replays. Oh, well. All right, so let's go through the line. I believe all our injured players are playing. Pacheco and Deebo Samuel, our most important players. So we still have Baltimore 4 and 44.5. And we got the Niners 7.5, 51.5. Up from 50.5. Let's see. There's a bunch of 7, so I'm leaving it at 7 and 51.5. So the lines aren't moving. The sharps aren't betting anything. The injuries. So on covers, Deebo Samuel is probable, as is the whole freaking team. Some old Burks, a linebacker, is questionable. That's the Niners. So we've got Deebo playing, so it's good for our over. Kansas City, we got Pacheco probable with an ankle. So you never know what it is, but it usually needs a week to heal. That's why, like on Wednesday, it's hard to say he's going to play, but if he's questionable, you think he will. And we got Pacheco probable, guard. What is Blaine Gabbert doing on the? If we got to go to Blaine Gabbert, we're in big fucking trouble. Cornerback, okay. Valdez Scantling, probable. Rice has a hamstring, but he's probable. McDuffie, I think he's all pro. At cornerback's probable. Tony's probable. Maybe he learned how to catch. So KC, we're in good shape. The key was Pacheco. Detroit, Anzalone, the linebacker, is probable. Hooker, I love this one. He's questionable with teeth. What, he can't play? How bad was he? Had a root canal? I mean, come on. Teeth. Laporta, probable. That's about it. Baltimore, I mean, they weren't really missing anybody. I don't know any of these guys. Andrews, the tight end's probable with an ankle. We'll see how long he can play. It's a broken fucking ankle that he's trying to come back from too quickly. And that's about it. So in our world, we wanted Pacheco back, which we got, and we wanted Deebo Samuel for our over, which we got. Let's go to RotoWire. So here it still shows Pacheco is questionable. So, but in covers, he's probable. So you don't know when this gets updated. It's 67% chance of rain, 11-mile-an-hour winds. Let's go to the Weather Channel. Deebo Samuel is fine here. You've got it's a sunny day with no chance of rain and 3-mile-an-hour wind. So let's go to the Weather Channel and see what the hell. Where is the weather? Here's the Weather Channel. I'm looking for that hour by hour weather. Come on. Could be wet, yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. All right, so let's go to tomorrow. Let's go 49. Occasional rain, high 49. Winds northeast to 10 to 15. Chance of rain 80%. Rainfall around 1/4 of an inch. Keep getting inundated with these fucking commercials. Where's weather by hour? It's funny, you go into it and it's nothing but ads. Sunday night. No, this is 3:30. Why is this so difficult to pull? Oh, here's hourly. Yeah, but we don't want Saturday. We want Sunday. Okay, here it is. So at 3:48. Oh, of course, we got to go see High School Friends. God, these commercials. All right, 3:00, 48, 66% chance of rain. 4:00, 72, 5:00, 69. So there's a good chance of rain. Let's go to 4:00. Light rain. Not a lot, no wind. 5:00. Light rain, 0.02 inches, and that's it. Really, I guess we can look at 3:00, light rain. So it's very light rain. It won't be a big storm like we had at San Francisco last week. All right, so whether or not an issue, rain, I don't think it would hurt Mahomes anyway. So that's what we got. So the pick is take Kansas City in 10, take the over in the Niner Lion game. And so Lions the perfect over team. So usually in these, you take the best team. The best team's the Niners. The Lions are an over team. Hey, doctor. $2.6 to 1. That's pretty. I don't know. Odds are low for a four-teamer, but what the hell? Yeah, KC over. Yeah, well, I got 38. We got 44. It should get over. Baltimore is a pretty high-scoring team, actually. Although they're going to have trouble. KC's got a really strong defense. My guess is the way the game plays out, Kansas City's going to blitz the shit out of Lamar. Worked for Houston for the first half, and then they went away from it for some reason. But I think the fact they played Josh Allen last week's huge for Kansas City. I mean, they're saying the same quarterback, right? The hell was that? So that's key. They get to see Josh Allen last week, and they beat him. And he's probably better than Lamar overall. He runs well, and he's a better thrower. I would blitz Lamar a lot because he can't read it, right? He doesn't know it's coming, and he won't know what to do with the ball. Not that Josh Allen does either, but you can't do it to Mahomes. I think that game's dead even. A team against A team, you take the dog. You have KC winning 24-20. Well, that's my score. So, okay, we've already got KC winning 24-20. So my score 24-20, and then Frisco 37-24. So KC, Baltimore, both A teams. So usually you take the dog, especially when the dog is Mahomes. When you get Mahomes as the dog, just cleaning. When you get Mahomes as the dog, it's critical. He's the winner, right? So you want to bet on Mahomes, especially as the dog. So I think it's a huge edge that Baltimore's favored in the game. I think they should be because they're at home, but I don't think they're the better team. Detroit Frisco. Detroit's an over team with a 27 defense, and the Niners are explosive, but they have a 20 defense. So at the end of the day, Frisco, this is not even. Frisco is a much better team than Detroit, and look for Frisco to, be able to score. I mean, if we're looking at Tampa putting up 23 in Detroit, Tampa doesn't have an offense. The Rams do. I was surprised they only got 23. I'm surprised at that second half. It's 21-17 at half, and they only get 9 points in the second half is surprising. It was more like it last week with Tampa, Detroit going back and forth. But if you're giving up 23 to Tampa, I mean, the Niners will be in the 30s, which makes it an easy over at 51-45. So I got 37-24. The Lions seem to know how to score, although they are confusing. They lost to Baltimore 38-3, and they lost to the Bears, the fucking Bears, 28-13. So there are times they don't show up. And is this going to be one of them? Yeah, it could be. It's a championship game, and it's on the road. They've been fortunate. Last week, they were fortunate that Dallas lost, and they got the game at home. The first game, okay, they should have lost to the Rams. That you could see them starting to choke. 21-17, they don't show up in the second half. Then last week, they got some nice scores in the second half with the running back. But again, it was Tampa. I mean, it was really, they were if you want to really get technical, so they beat the seventh seed in the Rams, and really the 9th seed in Tampa. Tampa was not better than the Rams or Green Bay record-wise. They just got in because they won their division. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have gotten in. So, they're beating a very bad team. Now they play the big fellas. Let's see. I don't think they're going to go on the road, and Goff's a choke, we know. And Purdy's not. And they're at home in a nice sunny day, and Detroit has no idea how to play on the road on grass. They played Baltimore and at Green Bay. And they caught Green Bay early when they weren't, and then they played the Bears and got killed. So they got killed by the Bears and Baltimore on the road on grass. And then they lost to Dallas in an indoor game. So, this is the problem with indoor teams and why they very rarely do anything. And if you notice, KC and Baltimore are outdoor teams. San Francisco's an outdoor team, as are the Rams, as is Tampa. The indoor teams, they're not used to they're used to playing indoors, and you play outdoors is a whole different thing. Like baseball, Bobby was here. He could say, you play in the dome, and then you go out on the grass and then the sunlight. It's a whole different feel. So I got Frisco 37-24. Debo Samuel, everybody's playing, and I just think that Detroit's shot their wad against the Rams. Got lucky they got Tampa, not Dallas, and now forget about it with the Niners. Well, yeah, that's what you're looking for is Mahomes. The key to football is you find the best players. I made so much money on Montana and Jerry Rice, and then Lawrence Taylor, and even the 85 Bears. Was a joke. I wasn't betting a lot of over-unders on. I just bet the Bears every week, and they'd win 30-0. You couldn't even get a first down on the Bears. But then they disappeared. Buddy Ryan left, and they disappeared. They played 84. They were good, but McMahon got hurt. The Niners won. The Niners beat them pretty good in San Francisco, 85. I don't think the Niners even made the playoffs. They beat the Giants and the Rams, Chicago, and killed New England in the Super Bowl. Then 86. I don't remember who won that. I think the Redskins won it. The Giants might have won. One of those two, the Redskins and the Giants won 86-87. Then the Niners in 88-89 and should have won in 90, but Steve Young coughed up the ball. But that's what you're looking for. You want to bet on Tom Brady. He's a winner. You want to bet on a winner because they're going to win, and especially getting points. So you got Mahomes in 10. You might lose it. I mean, anything could happen in any game, of course, but they just beat Buffalo 27-24. I doubt they're going to get killed by Baltimore. Baltimore could win. But let's put it this way. If the score is tied, let's say at 20, middle of the fourth quarter, who would you rather have to win the game for you, Mahomes or Lamar? And Lamar having to throw the ball. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? You'd rather have Mahomes getting you the read than Harbaugh and Lamar. So this is where I don't understand people with Lamar. I mean, he's good hitting a long pass in a meaningless time in the game. Like last week, it was 24-10, and then he drives him down. And I think he hits the tight end for the touchdown. Not much of a play, but that's what you're looking at. You're looking at Mahomes hitting Kelsey wide open for a 30-yard touchdown. You go, yeah, let Lamar do that, which he won't. He's not smart enough to do that. He doesn't have the football sense to spot the open receivers before he hikes the ball. And that's what you got with Hurts and a lot of these. I don't know if Kyler Murray can do it. I don't know if any of the Oklahoma/USC guys can do it. That's why I'm worried about Caleb. Can Caleb do that? I mean, that's where the problem is. Hurts, I don't know. Murray, I don't know. Now you got Lamar from Louisville. He never impressed me as a quarterback in college. He was just a running back, right? He'd run the option. Hey, Titus. Good morning to you. Hope you're well. So again, KC 24-20, Frisco 37-24. Those are the scores, Titus. And in a teaser, Baltimore is 15-3 in a teaser. Overall, at home they're pretty strong. KC's obviously a very strong dog. Detroit on the road is not too good. Frisco is very strong as a home favorite. They're like 16-2. So in a teaser trend, I don't think it matters much here. I think you just KC Baltimore take the dog. I don't think, Baltimore's a good home favorite, but now they're playing KC. And you're basically betting against Detroit's defense. I mean, you found the weakness. So it's whatchamacallit, our friend Mao. Sun Tse, it's the art of war. You find the weakness. And there isn't one on the Niners, but there is one on Detroit. It's called their secondary. And at the end of the day, it'll finally come out and hurt them. And that's today. So in the first game, there's no weakness. The weakness is actually Lamar. KC has no weakness. They got a great defense with Mahomes and Pacheco. They got balance. They got Kelsey, and this Rice is looking good. And Valdez Scantley's playing. And Baltimore's weakness is Lamar being a quarterback. Good defense. Do they have running? I don't mind Gus Edwards. Do they have receivers? Not really. I don't think Z Flowers is the answer. I do like their offensive coordinator from Georgia, and they got a very sound defense, but Mahomes can pick that apart. I'm not worried with Mahomes finding it. There's not a defense that can really stop Mahomes. Maybe the Niners, we'll see. Harbaugh going to San Diego, I think they're an instant playoff team. He'll get some defensive guys, probably from Michigan, probably from other schools. That'll add. So in the draft, he'll probably add 3 or 4 good defensive players to go with Bosa and Khalil Mack and James. And he's got the offense. He's got Eckler and Kelly running backs, Keenan Allen and Williams. And if he doesn't get Williams back, I'm sure he'll draft a receiver. They're easy enough to find. Just go to the Pac-10 and pick a school. Oh, let's get the guy from Washington. Oh, there's guys at Oregon State, USC. I mean, there's 30 receivers you can draft out of the Pac-10, and then you go to the Big 12, right? So that's not a problem. Oh yeah, and the best guy, Brock Bowers. That would be very interesting if they got Brock Bowers in San Diego. They'll have a pretty high draft pick. I guess if you have Herbert, I guess my first pick, if I could get Brock Bowers, would be him. Then I'd go after the defense with the next few picks, a couple of linebackers, a couple of secondary guys. Because I already got Khalil Mack and I got Bosa, who now you watch Bosa, he won't miss a game. It's all he does is miss games, right? Hamstring and ankle. Not with Harbaugh, he won't be missing. And I noticed that with other teams. They change coaches. All of a sudden, the guys aren't missing anymore. So look at that. I just think the defensive scheme he has will be very strong. They've been playing Mahomes pretty tough anyway, but now you have a real coach. And he's already proven at the Niners. I mean, they had that hell of a defense, and that game against Richard Sherman was a game for the ages. When Navarro Bowman breaks his knee or breaks his leg, he got the fumble, right? He stole the ball and has got it in his hands, and the refs fuck up again. What else is new? And it should have been the Niners' ball, but he breaks his leg. And then on the next play, they fumble, and the Niners get it anyway. But he didn't have a quarterback there in Kaepernick. What were you throwing at Richard Sherman and you want to win the game? I agree with Richard after the game. Like, you throwing at me? Are you insane? And basically, yes. You find Richard Sherman and you go the other way. You don't throw at Richard Sherman. So I think that'll be good. His problem is special teams, as it's always been. He fucked up the Niners twice with bad special teams. Even in the Alabama-Michigan game, he fucked up with 2 fumbles on the punt returns. So he's a terrible special teamer, which is ironic because that's what his brother did. He was at Philadelphia when Andy Reid was there. 10 years as a special team coach. I don't think he's a very good head coach. And I'm beginning to wonder about coaches in general, if they're even needed. It seems like the whole key is offensive and defensive coordinator. You watch the Lions, they're going to lose their offensive coordinator somewhere, I guess. I don't know why they don't pay him to stay. And I don't know why he'd want to be a head coach. He's got the perfect position, offensive coordinator of the Lions, and they score 30 a game. Where are you going? Where are you leaving? I learned that. I was at Visteon, which is a subsidiary of Ford, and I loved the job. It was I'd work 20 hours, but I had a 40-hour job, so I'd walk around for 20 hours. I'd go to the cafeteria, but all my work was done. I mean, I'd do it, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, well, it's noon and I'm done, but I only get paid hourly, so I'm going to, obviously stay. And I left it for another job, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made. The job was terrible. The boss was terrible, and little things that you don't realize. And I wish I would have stayed at Visteon. And that was the thing with that's the thing with these offensive coordinators. Look at the guy he was the UCF coach, and they went undefeated. And then he goes to Nebraska, and they suck. And he's got to be going, why didn't I stay at UCF? I was the coach. We're undefeated. I got, so I don't know why these coaches leave sometimes. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, Scott Frost. Thank you. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They leave for what? And for the money, and then they suck, and the guy will never get another job. Or he goes back to being an offensive coordinator, which is how he got the UCF job. That's what I'm saying. If I'm the Detroit guy, I stay as the offensive coordinator. Maybe give me a bonus. And otherwise, so then do I want is the head coach really needed? No, it's the coordinators. I got a good offensive coordinator. I got a good defensive coordinator. I don't need a head coach. So when these head coaches, when the coordinator goes to be a coach, he's taking a huge risk that he'll do it. A lot of times I see in college football, the guy will be like at UTEP or he'll be at Miami of Ohio, and he goes to the Big Ten and he fails miserably. The Central Michigan coach did that. He was at Colorado State. Then he went to Florida and he failed miserably. And now he's at Central Michigan and he's pretty successful. And that's his limit. So I don't know that you need head coaches. It seems like if you have a good offensive coordinator and a good defensive coordinator, you're fine, except for like Georgia, where the head coach is the defensive coordinator, or where Belichick was the defensive coordinator. So then it becomes, okay, he's that. We just need an offensive coordinator. But New England didn't need that because they had Tom Brady. So it's basically Brady, the offensive coordinator, and Belichick, the defensive coordinator. That's why it worked. But as you can see, Belichick. Now, I was reading why Belichick's not getting hired. And it's like, well, the new players are these NIL players who need to be babied and, they're a bunch of crybabies, which we know, and they sit out games. So they couldn't handle Belichick. And I'm like, you don't let the player run the coach. The coach runs the player. These players need discipline and need that. I mean, then don't fucking draft the crybabies like Caleb. Caleb's a crybaby. Sorry, I like Caleb, but when he started crying on the field after losing to UCLA, I mean, he's tears coming down because he lost. I'm like, I don't want this guy. I want a man. This is football. Let's see. So, yeah, I think Harbaugh will be very good. I think San Diego will not win 5 games with that team, and I'm sure he'll add hopefully he gets to add Brock Bowers. Whoever gets Brock Bowers is going to be much improved. So hopefully he gets a 2 or 3 more defensive players, 2 or 3 better receivers from the Pac-10, and he's a good defensive coach. And he obviously was a quarterback. Wasn't a really good quarterback in the pros, but he's always had good defense, like the Niners, Michigan. Finally, they always had a decent defense, Michigan. Their offense sucked they're winning with just running the ball into the line. It's back to Bo football, but he's terrible with quarterbacks. Here he's got Herbert. He doesn't have to do anything. So I would say they're definitely in the playoffs next year. And if they get a good punt returner, they might win a few games. Bowers would be great for anybody. And he's really what you thought Pitts was at Florida. Like he plays for Atlanta, and you're waiting for him to become great. Well, Bowers is great, and he's a good tight end receiver. You can hand the ball. He gets a lot of like power sweep handoffs, and he runs for 20 yards. Great hands, great block. He's a great player, and he should have won the Heisman. He's much better than who won. Daniels won it. Okay. Daniels was very good also. Thoughts on Titans firing Vrabel to hire someone I've never heard of? I don't know. That's what I like Vrabel. I thought he was a good coach. I think he had to try to win with Will Levis. Will Levis should never have been drafted. Will Levis was not a good quarterback at Kentucky. This is what I don't understand. I watch Kentucky. I bet these games. I watch all the games. I watch all the highlights. I know all the quarterbacks. Will Levis was not. That's like Daniel Jones at the Giants. Why are you drafting him? Jordan Love. Why are you drafting him? And I see it again. If you draft Drake May from North Carolina in the first 10 picks, you're out of your mind. That guy stinks. There is no reason to draft that guy at all. I wouldn't. If Professor, you're running a team, you're running the Carolina Panthers. Okay, I'm trading Vince Young for the number 1 pick back to the Bears. We'll play games. And I'm drafting either Bo Nix or Penix or Daniels, one of these guys. And that's it. I mean, they're much better than the guy, Steve Young. I mean, they're much better. I'm getting rid of him because I can tell he's not good. And I could get Tyreek Hill and all these and Jefferson and Chase, and he still wouldn't be good. Burrow is a different story. I'm hoping that Cincinnati gets Powers, really. I want him to go with Burrow, really make them electric. But that's what you're looking at. So when some of these quarterbacks, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. So in Tennessee's case, he's trying to win with Will Levis, who's not a good college quarterback. You can't blame Vrabel. He got the big win at the end, beating Jacksonville. Give him credit for that. Vrabel is much better. I'm surprised Tease didn't go to New England. I don't like who New England hired. Now he's like one of these racist guys. I got hired because I'm black. I mean, what the fuck is that? Are you a good football coach? And I don't know that he's ever coached before. Look for New England to be 3 wins. They'll fire this guy in 2 years. I'm all in favor of hire the best guy. I don't care if he's white, black, blue, or red. Hire the best coach, right? Don't hire a coach because he's a certain color or whatever. Hire him because he's the best. And I think that's what's happening now. They're hiring coaches based on this color, based on this woke bullshit. And then it shows when they go 3-14. That's probably why a lot of these defenses suck. If you look at their defensive coordinators, excuse me. Look at Atlanta. Look who you hired, Raheem Morris, against Bill Belichick. And how do you sleep at night with that decision? That's like, I'm not going to buy gold or silver. I'm going to buy Hungarian money. Well, what, are you out of your mind? Yeah, I don't want to buy gold. I mean, that's about what it is, right? Here's the gold standard Belichick. Now, I don't love Belichick. I think it was all Brady. And then when Brady left, he can't even read that Matt Jones sucked. How do you miss that, right? Mac Jones, he's my quarterback, and you keep him as quarterback, shows me you don't know what you're fucking doing. Brady happened to be a fluke. The guy gets hurt, so he puts Brady in. Brady didn't win the job. He had Bledsoe. Bledsoe gets hurt. Oh, okay, I guess I have to go to Brady. Oh, by the way, we won a Super Bowl. Well, okay, I guess I'll leave Brady in. That was that was a bullshit. That was not Belichick seeing talent. I don't think the guy can see talent based on what he's doing. So I don't like it. I think Vrabel is a very good coach. I don't think he ever had a quarterback. He's winning with Ryan Tannehill. He's basically playing Ohio State ball. He's playing defense and running. And he needs a quarterback, and you're not giving him one. Okay, now here comes a new guy in we've never heard of. And they still got Will Levis. You know, this is the quarterback draft to get rid of Will Levis and get rid of the Giants quarterback and to get rid of all these get rid of Kirk Cousins. You can get rid of all these hacks in this draft. We'll see what we'll see. They'll draft Drake May, and they'll wonder what the fuck's going on. I think Vrabel is the way. Hey, Greg and John, good morning. Scott Frost, yep, thank you. Do you think Nick Saban will stay retired? I think he will because, to leave Alabama, Urban Meyer left Florida because of Alabama. Right? You couldn't beat him. He won with Tebow. He took a year off, and then he goes to Ohio State. So he waits. Maybe he wanted to go to Ohio State, so he was waiting for that opening. I don't know. I personally, what I would do with Nick Saban is if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I hire Nick Saban for a couple of years. That's where he should go. He would take the job. It's high prestige. It's Dallas, and they would win. How does McCarthy stay there? What are you looking at, man? You got McCarthy staying there? What did he do? He got lucky and won a title with Rodgers. Then he lost 3 or 4 as the number 1 seed with Rodgers. And this year was you still love Dak Prescott. And then he comes out how much he loved Dak Prescott. What did he throw? 3 interceptions in the game? Who did they lose to? They lost to Green Bay 48-32. And Dak throws for 300 yards after they're down 28-0 or 27-0. You should be the one winning 48-32. Not Green Bay should not come in and beat you. And you have a killer defense, and you were clueless. So the defensive coordinator, I think they fired him because all of a sudden he's looking for a job. And why would he quit Dallas? So Dallas probably fired him. They probably blamed him like the Jacksonville or the San Diego coach blamed the defensive coordinator for not blitzing against Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago. So Nick Saban should go to he should go to Dallas, maybe New England, but I don't know. He probably doesn't want to coach Mac Jones either. He saw him at Alabama. He goes, no, thanks. So I think that's it. But the problem is these teams aren't smart enough to understand that Dak Prescott stinks, that Mac Jones stinks, that the Giants quarterback stinks, that even this Chase Young or whoever, Vince Young at Carolina stinks. They're not smart enough to understand talent. Tampa Bay, you have Trask. He's much better than Mayfield, but they won't play him because Mayfield's experienced. Fuck, get rid of Mayfield. You've got the guy and you're not playing him, and then you're going to wonder why you lose with Mayfield. So they're unable to analyze talent, at least the way I can analyze it, which is why we win so much. I analyze talent. Mahomes tonight, and then Mahomes over Lamar is much better, and yet Lamar is going to win the MVP because Mahomes kind of had a bad season, but Mahomes is much better as a quarterback. Detroit Frisco, Goff's not very good, and Purdy's better, but you're betting on McCaffrey. That's what we're betting on, McCaffrey and the Niner defense, period. So I think Saban, I can see him getting an offer from a Dallas, yes, but it's got to be a Dallas or a San Francisco, one of those types. He's not going to Atlanta, right? And he's not going to New Orleans. He's going to a powerhouse. Well, the Rams don't need him, and the Niners don't need him. But like Dallas, I could see him going to Dallas. That would be it. That even Bill Parcells went to Dallas, remember? So yeah, I think it's in his blood. He'll miss it when the season starts and he's not coaching. Then he'll realize he misses it. Now, I don't know if it's health reasons or what, but I would think he'd be back. Titus, the doctor has KC winning 24-20. I'm wondering if he got those numbers from your last video, which you said, yeah, well, probably. Kind of a coincidence, right, Titus? Yeah, I love when people quote me to myself. That's okay. Didn't see the last video, missed last couple. I'm glad though that I'm glad I'm on the same page, TK. You shouldn't be missing the videos. I went over the Roman Empire to today in economics. Very, very. It impressed me. Right, I'm reading it, realizing I took this in class, and it was very informative. And the Mark McGuire class yesterday, where he's talking about de-dollarization and comex blowing up, and gold going to 3,000, and silver going to at least 300. You shouldn't really miss those parts of the class. Those are very informative. Greg, John, TK, you got KC. Thank you, Titus. Yeah, we wonder about Greg and John sometimes. Yeah, but I mean, that's, let's look at last week. I had Baltimore 31-20. They win 34-10. I got Frisco 34-24. They win 24-21. I got Detroit 27-13. They win 31-23. And I had KC 23-20, and they win 27-24. But why do I put the scores down? I'm looking at the defenses. So in looking at let's say looking at Green Bay, Frisco, I figured Frisco to score more because Green Bay had a 24 defense. So really the key is defense. If you see a very strong defense, and the best defense in the league, I believe it's San Francisco, Baltimore, and KC are all about 20s. Dallas is also very good. Pitt was an 18. They gave up 31-17. So it's really, you've got to dig in when you look at numbers, because like Detroit had the easiest schedule. It was like Michigan, right? Why didn't I like Michigan? Because they didn't play anybody. And then the one game they actually played against Ohio State sucked. Their quarterback was terrible, McCord. And then they go, okay, and then they beat Iowa in the championship game. Well, they don't have an offense. And then they go ahead and beat Alabama, who with Milrose is not very good offensively. And Milrose puts up 20 on them. So, you get a 20-20 game there. And the first game that they actually played a good quarterback was Washington. And the refs were cheating, and you didn't get a fair game there because of the bullshit offensive holding calls on 2 30-yard passes. But the Lions are on the same playbook. They haven't played anybody. They played 2 good teams, Baltimore, which beat them 38-3, and Dallas, which beat them 20-19. They didn't play the Niners. They didn't play Philly. They even lost to Green Bay and Chicago in their own division. And, they beat the NFC South, which sucked, and they beat the AFC West. But KC was the first week, and Kelsey was out, and the defensive lineman was out. And then Oakland sucked, and Denver was pretty good. They beat. And then San Diego played a 41-38 game. So they didn't really play anybody except for the 2 good teams, and they lost to both of them. And they were on the road. So that's where I'm at with them. They don't have that big win. KC they got the big win last week, beating Buffalo. And they've won 2 Super Bowls. So you know how good. The only reason they didn't win the third was because of Tom Brady. Tampa beat them. And that was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago when they lost to New England at home in that 80-point game. So, I mean, it takes of Tom Brady to beat Mahomes, right? That's it. He's lost 2 big games, one to Brady, one to Mahomes, and then he lost to a Joe Burrow team. So that's it. That's who beats him, right? Brady beats him twice, and Burrow. And you don't got that here. Lamar's not in that league. And people, I don't know what they see in Lamar. He runs. He's a good running quarterback. So blitz him. It's not hard to understand. Houston did a good job last week, the first half, 10-10. And then they stopped blitzing for some reason. and the coach should get fired. And that's why everybody's on Houston like they're great. And I'm like, really? Who did they beat? Oh, Jacksonville and Tennessee and Indianapolis. I mean, they didn't beat any. They played Baltimore and lost 30-0 early in the year. So you got to watch who they're playing. That's the key. What's their signature win? And in the Lions case, it was who? Their signature win was Minnesota. I mean, they didn't beat anybody, and therefore you can't prove anything. They beat a lot of bad teams, and then they keep bringing last year. Oh, look how they came on, again, beating a lot of bad teams. The good teams they played early, New England beat them, 30-0. Dallas beat them like 20-7 early in the year. Then they got to the easy part. And remember, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota. Well, Minnesota was okay, but they were fading, and therefore they beat nobody, the Giants. And then they go against Carolina, a weak team, and they lose to them, which cost them the playoff. So, they win they win 7 or 8 games last year against nobody. So they hadn't beaten anybody. So when you're looking at how good as Houston is, show me their big win. Then, okay, Cleveland. Is Cleveland really a good win with Flacco? I don't think so. You beat, I don't know, whoever. I don't like Watson. Maybe Thompson Robinson's better. You beat him with Chubb and a full defense, then I'll be impressed, but that's not who you beat. So Houston really hasn't had that big win. Go beat Kansas City. Go to Kansas City and beat them. Go to Buffalo and beat them. Go to Baltimore and win. Then I'll be a Houston guy. But until then, you can't be a Houston guy because they haven't beaten. So they beat a bunch of bad teams does not make them a good team. It makes them beating a bunch of bad teams. They're beating the bad teams. And that's what people are not understanding. So when you break away Frisco, they beat the Rams, and now they beat a good Green Bay team who wasn't very good but getting better. And they were the 1 seed, and they beat Seattle. Seattle and the Rams were good teams. And I think they killed Dallas. They killed Philly. Okay, enough said. Frisco's good. Baltimore, we know. Kansas City just beat Buffalo at Buffalo in a playoff game. So you've got – and 2 Super Bowls, by the way. So that's what you're looking for is the teams that are good, that have proven they're good, and they get in a situation, they flip the switch, and they go, and look at Mahomes. And I know Nick's telling me, well, they don't really look that good because he's listening to ESPN or whoever. They don't really look that good. And then next thing you know, they turn it on against Buffalo. And that's my point. They're Super Bowl winners. They know how to hit the switch. And that's why I like them tomorrow, because the switch is on. They go and they beat Buffalo. And even if they lose tomorrow, they're not losing big, right? If they do lose, it'll be a 24-20 type of game anyway. They might lose by a field goal, but I don't think they'll lose because I don't think Lamar can drive them down the field. So if the score is 24-20 and there's 6 minutes left in the game, do you think Lamar is going to drive down the field and get a winning touchdown? No fucking way. Because what will happen is he'll run it down to the 20, and then as it shrinks because it's the red zone and there's no back, right? Now the end zone's right here. He can't run. He can't pass. So what does he do? Throw it high to the tight end, or he tries to run the sweep where he can run it in. That's what he'll try to do. But KC's got a much stronger defense than who did they beat last week? Houston. Houston has a good defense. Where was it? I mean, they were at 22 defense. They didn't show up. So that's my point. You keep blitzing Lamar, and he's helpless. You can't blitz Mahomes. That's really the big difference. Houston won at Cincinnati with Burrow. That was probably their Cincinnati. Did Burrow play the whole game, or was that the game he got hurt in? I mean, I've heard that before, but I don't buy that. We don't know enough of the situation. Burrow was hurt a lot with his calf, but I don't look at that. Sorry, that's not gonna. What I see is Baltimore 34, Houston 10. That's what I see. So when they needed to win, they didn't win. They got a good win. I don't know why or how. They beat Burrow. Okay. Cincinnati was not even a playoff team because Burrow was injured so much. So I don't know. I believe he played the entire game. He got hurt a couple weeks later. Okay, whatever. Still not a signature win to me. It's the playoff games that count, and I don't see Cincinnati in the playoffs. So, like Miami, they don't have a signature win. That's why I don't like Miami. Tagliabue is a choke. Their coach is an idiot who just runs the Shanahan playbook, which is no running, and then there's no defense there. See, here's my point that people, KC 26-7 over Miami. Yeah, it was cold, but it's cold for Lamar. It was cold for Mahomes, 26-7. He didn't have any problem. And the same with Buffalo. So he doesn't have a problem with cold weather, windy weather. 27 on Buffalo, 26 at Miami. So, that's why you bet Mahomes, because and if they do lose, it's going to be a field goal. So you take the 10 points. That's my point. However, can you trust Lamar to win? No. Who's he beaten? He's won like 2 playoff games and against Houston and against Tennessee when they both were pretty weak. But against the better teams, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. San Diego killed him that first year blitzing. So KC's got a very good defense, very underrated. So I just see KC. I really don't see KC losing the game at all. But I think I don't know if what Lamar's going to do. He might not get 20 points. A very good defense. He looked pretty shitty against Houston in the first half, 10-10. So we will see. Again, I think KC. I trust Spagnuolo to know how to defend them much better than any other defensive coordinator. And they can taste the Super Bowl. So good luck trying to beat Mahomes. And if your answer is Lamar, you're in trouble. And again, he's pissed. He's the MVP every year. And if he's not, and it's Lamar, he's out to show Lamar. So, and then Detroit's just not ready. They're not a very good team. They're a balanced offense. We give them credit for that. Their defense sucks. Their secondary sucks. Everybody's throwing for 400 yards on them. Teams that do that do not go to the Super Bowl. And if they do, they get killed. Mahomes is well aware he is an underdog, and he will be out to show everyone who is the best player. Yes, I think I just said that. Okay, so that's what we got with that. So these head coaches signing, I don't understand it. The NFL draft coming up. So you got your top, I don't know, the top players I can name. You got Brock Bowers at Georgia. You've got the running back out of Oklahoma State. What's his name? Ollie Gordon. I don't know why I struggle with his name. He's the best running back since he's a Jim Brown. He's power and fast. Very unique combination. So that should be the first running back taken. And Brock Bowers should be the first receiver taken. Then you've got Daniels, LSU. You got Penix, Washington. You got Bo Nix, Oregon. Maybe Caleb at USC, but I'm still kind of thinking it's a system there. I don't know. Is Texas's quarterback coming out? Oklahoma's Was he going to play 10 years in college? I can't believe Gabriel's not coming out. Our guy from Utah is better than all of them, but he's still hurt, so he's going to play one more year at Utah. Cam Rising, he's fantastic. That's the difference. You see Utah this year, and he should be. I assume the doctor will clear him next year, and you'll see the difference in points. That's what attracted me to him, was they're scoring 20 points a game, and all of a sudden Rising's in, they're scoring 40 points. You know, it's not the system. Van Dyke's going to Wisconsin. Keep an eye on him next year. Again, they're getting paid millions of dollars to switch schools. The whole thing's ridiculous. I think the NFL should be pissed off, knowing that now college is amateur. Now, is it not amateur? And then are you paying every player? And then how are you paying the team? So I'm curious. So you're paying $1 million for Tyler to go, Van Dyke to go to Wisconsin. Are all the players on the team getting paid, or is it just Van Dyke? I mean, are they paying Rising to stay at Utah? I would imagine they have to, otherwise he'd leave. My favorite is Ooglia Booglia going somewhere else, and they're actually paying that guy to this guy's terrible. And the guy from Washington State, Cam Ward, I think it's Cam something. He's going somewhere, and they're going to pay him $1 million. Somebody went to Arkansas. So you're paying the quarterback $1 million. Do you pay the left guard? How much do you pay him to stay or to transfer? So I'm very confused by this. The NIL was supposed to be you get paid for your jersey sales or your bobblehead. That's what it was supposed to be. Here's a few $100s, not $1 million to stay. And it's competition with the pros. So I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know where they're getting the money and how they're going to, it's going to get out of control and blow up in their faces. I think it's really stupid. So this will be interesting. Anyway, so your top five is obviously Bowers and Gordon, and then you've got your quarterbacks, Nix and Penix and Daniels and Gabriel, if he came out from Oklahoma. The kid at Tulane's very good. I think his name's Bren. I would stay away from Drake May. I wouldn't even draft him. And then you've got Caleb Primetime Jr. He's, I think, a year away. I don't think he'll do anything in the pros unless Daddy will get the job at Dallas, and they'll bring in Primetime Jr. to be the quarterback. Much like Little League, where the dad coaches his son. But I think I think Nix and Daniels and Penix will do very good in the pros, as will Gabriel. I question, and Van Dyke, and then Hartman is in that top 5 list from Notre Dame. He was great at Wake Forest. Notre Dame didn't know how to use him. You can't blame Hartman for that. He's a superstar, so I would take him. He's a winner. You can't handle if he's got a bad play caller. And that's what happens a lot in the pros. You get the good quarterback with the bad play caller. I mean, look at Brady. He went through all these offensive coordinators. He probably said, fuck it, I'll call the plays myself. I know Namath, I was watching him on a little show, and he called his own plays. So did Bart Starr. So did Unitas. All these quarterbacks call their own plays because you don't need an offensive coordinator with them. So we will see what they do. But that's what I would do. I think Chicago should trade Fields. He's terrible. Again, an Ohio State guy that it's a system, and he sucks. I mean, how else could you explain it? He throws 50 touchdowns at Ohio State, and he can't throw 10 in the pros. He doesn't even look good. He wants to run. He didn't run at Ohio State. Ohio State's not – the quarterbacks don't run at Ohio State. They don't run at Alabama either. Very little. They're not. They're pocket passers who run an option route depending on how the defense lines up. So I don't know why you would draft an Ohio State quarterback or an Alabama quarterback for that matter. None of them have been good except since Stabler and Namath. at Alabama, and that was with a different coach. That was Bear Bryant. So anyway, that should be your top five: Hartman and Nix and Penix and Caleb, I guess, and Daniels, kid from Tulane and Notre Dame. Those guys would be maybe the Tulane guy comes later, second, third round, and then Brock Bowers and then and Ollie Gordon. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of guys. Texas's quarterback, I don't know if he's coming out. I'm not sure how good he is. Washington's got some receivers. Oregon's got some receivers. USC's got receivers. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If I need a receiver, just go to these teams. Notre Dame's got that good running back also, but I don't know if he's coming out. It's hard because these guys stay in college because they get paid, and the NFL is really getting used cars, not new cars. So, look at Cam Rising. He's going to play 7 years. The guy's going to be 20, 26, 27. You're not getting 21-year-olds anymore. However, they should know the systems by now. So that's the difference with those quarterbacks. Hartman should be fine. He was much better at Wake. Van Dyke should be fine, but he's going to go play for Wisconsin. I don't get it. But yeah, I think Penix proved himself and Bo Nix proved themselves. I mean, Bo Nix, he'd go 21 out of 22 in the Washington game. You can't blame him. It was more their defense, but that shows you how good Penix is because Oregon had a great defense. So I might go after Oregon's defensive coordinator if I'm like the Lions. If I'm the Lions, I keep my offensive coordinator and I go after the Oregon or the Georgia defensive coordinator. But I think the Georgia defensive coordinator is the head coach, Kirby Smart. So I don't think you can gain anything there. Who is the guy, Dr. Football? Who is the guy Carolina hired as their coach? Never heard of him. I think it was an offensive coordinator somewhere. I don't. He's there. I love how they do this. So they have Steve Young, and then they bring in an offensive coach to help Steve Young. We'll just bring in a fucking quarterback. Bring in Joe Montana to coach him, or get a good offensive coordinator. You don't make the head coach. That's what Miami did. They bring in an offensive coordinator as their head coach, who's also the offensive coordinator, but he doesn't know anything about defense, and he's not a head coach. He's an offensive coach. That's it, because he went to the Shanahan school of let's all run the same offense. So in the NFL, you've got to realize this. You've got the Rams, San Francisco, Green Bay, Miami, and there's one other, all run the same offense. So Frisco obviously knows the Lions offense, and they've seen it with the Rams in Green Bay, and they got those wins. So it's just really weird. They're all running the same plays. It's insane. So I don't know who he is, but I would imagine Carolina won't win a game next year either. And if they keep Young, they certainly won't. See, they won't say they made a mistake. It's like the Russian-Ukraine war or the U.S.-Russia war. The U.S. will never say we fucked up. We shouldn't have been in the war. We lost it. They'll blame the Ukraine. Well, we gave them weapons. It's their fault that we lost it. Well, you should have fought in it, right? And then it's the same thing here. They won't admit that the Steve Young draft pick sucked, or the Giants won't admit Daniel Jones sucked, and New England won't admit Mac Jones sucked. They won't admit when they fuck up the draft, or Chicago took Mitch Trubisky and he's couldn't play at a high school. And Pittsburgh won't admit that Pickett's terrible. So they won't admit their mistakes. Frisco kind of did. They got rid of Trey Lance, who they never should have drafted with the third pick. I didn't understand that. But Carolina should get rid of their guy. Chicago should get rid of Fields. Again, Chicago, Trubisky and Fields. Okay, how many times are you going to trust these guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing? That's two shitty quarterbacks you just drafted. And here you have the creme de la creme and Bo Nix and Daniels and Hartman and all these guys. You should be licking your chops. And how are they going to fuck it up? They'll take Drake May, right? And you're like, you could have had all these guys that are all going to be all pros. You know, they'll be like Tom Brady's, and you're drafting who? That's the problem. So, yeah, I don't know who he is. Ollie Gordon is staying in college. Why would he do that? Well, maybe he's not a junior. That's too bad. Well, he's the best running back in college. TK, do the Raiders need to win a few games? What kind of question is that? I don't understand the question, Gregor John. I mean, all the teams need to win games. What are you really asking? I don't understand. Titus, I like the fact KC has a chance to become back-to-back champions and three-peat, which was not being talked about. Yeah, I like that too. Really, the last one that did it, notice New England could never do it. Frisco should have done it. Steve Young with the fumble to Roger Craig that Taylor recovered, and the Giants kicked a field goal to win when all the Niners had to do was just, hand the ball off and just run the clock. And Montana got hurt in that game, and then Steve Young choked, of course. He's always a choker. But, yeah, I like they can three-peat. I don't know if they can. Cincinnati with Joe Burrow gives them problems. And they're the only team that can beat them, right? Buffalo can't. Baltimore can't. Joe Burrow beat them 2 years ago. Cincinnati's a few players away, I think. I'd like to see them get Brock Bowers, and then they need some defensive help. I don't even know who their coach is. Zach Taylor, I have no idea. I never heard of that guy. But Cincinnati's okay. But, yeah, it'd be nice. KC has a good chance to go back-to-back. Although the Niners, this will be a very interesting game with the Niners. Am I looking too far ahead, or is this the play we haven't seen back-to-back champions in a while? I saw Shannon Sharp had on his back-to-back championship. Shannon Sharp. No. I mean it's 2 games away, but they got to get through Baltimore, which they should, and then they got to get through the Niners, and where the thing is the defense, and the Niners have McCaffrey. It'll be a very tall order to beat the Niners, especially in a Super Bowl. But you do have the worst coach in the history of life in the Niners coach, Shanahan. He's the one who was the offensive coordinator for Atlanta, and they were up 28-3, and they lost the fucking game because he didn't run for some first downs and take time off the clock. And then they got that big catch by Julio Jones. They're in field goal range to go up 10 and win the game, and he's throwing and gets a holding call. You're like, Jesus Christ. Why are you holding? Why are you throwing the ball? Just run it. Run 3 times, kick the field goal, and the game's over. What the fuck? So he doesn't know what he's really doing. I don't like Shanahan. I think he's an idiot, basically, for blowing that lead against New England is a joke. Because you got up 28-3. You certainly shouldn't have then blown the lead. But, yeah, they could go back to – they got to get past the Niners. That's their thing. 3 champions in a row is a new dynasty. I would say 2's. I think KC's already – they win this, they're a dynasty. That'll be 3 Super Bowls. And then in the 4th one, they lost to Brady. So I think they're the dynasty. They're the winner. They know how to – it's all Mahomes. And now they got I like they have Pacheco to kind of neutralize the defense. Like if you want to just go after Mahomes, we're going to run Pacheco, who scored that big touchdown to take the lead against Buffalo last week. And he'll probably score a couple times on Baltimore tomorrow. But, yeah, I think they're the dynasty regardless if they win 3 in a row or not. Who they need to win, I meant. Oakland, they need to beat KC, and they're going to need to beat San Diego and Denver. Um, you know, it's they've got to make the playoffs. Basically, they don't have a good coach. They don't have a good GM. They don't have a good quarterback. I mean, let's go down the list. You're not winning with Garoppolo. That's already proven. He can't stay healthy, and you go down the list. So Oakland's not a good team at all. Don't think they are. They got to get better on defense, although I like the one guy they got on defense, but they need more help. You need a sound GM and coach, and they don't have either. So they're a ways away. I know we got some Oakland fans. Denver was the last team to back-to-back champions. Did New England do it? I think New England did it, didn't they? Maybe not. Maybe they lost to Philly, but they'd won 3 out of 4, I think. So when they wanted to trade Brady, he came back and they won like 2 out of 3. I think they lost to Philadelphia, but they won. I don't really remember. I do know they won a lot when they were going to let Brady go and they let Garoppolo go. So I don't know what they did, but I think they won 2 out of 3 with Brady, if not back to back. I'm not sure, but I know they won a bunch with at the end of Brady, and then Tampa I was hoping would have went back to back, but they lost. The coach quit, so they didn't. John Elway's won back to back. Yeah, he did. New England went back to back. So they haven't. I'm talking the last few years when Brady won 2 more Super Bowls. Before he went to Tampa, New England won 2, and then they lost to the Eagles. But I don't know if they were back to back or not. They were in it 3 out of the 4 years. But New England's weird because it wasn't the competition the Niners had. Or like the Steelers. The Steelers had to beat the Raiders a couple times to get to the Super Bowl. And I'm talking the Stabler, Dave Casper, Jack Tatum Raiders. They beat them twice. Then the last 2, they beat Earl Campbell. And the Niners had to beat, the Dallas Cowboys in the first one. And then the 84 Bears, who were as good as the 85 Bears. And then the other 2, they had to beat, I think, Lawrence Taylor. And, they were beating good teams to get there. New England really didn't beat good teams to get there. They kind of got lucky. And even in the Super Bowl, they beat Carolina once and a lot of bad teams. They didn't have the cream that the Niners did. And then when it was Jimmy Johnson against Frisco, that was the Super Bowl. That game was the Super Bowl. That's where you almost need to change it from AFC, NFC to the top team plays, Dallas plays Frisco in the Super Bowl because those were just gigantic games. So Dallas earned it by beating the Niners, who were still good, although they had Steve Young. He wasn't as good as Montana. But that's where you've got a really good team. Well, the Steelers won back-to-back twice, 4 and 6 years. So they were they showed you they had talent, but then they started getting old. Joe Green retired, and one of their best players that you don't realize is Mike Wagner. He made a lot of big interceptions, and he retired. Like after they won their 4th Super Bowl, Green and Wagner, and they just couldn't replace them. They still had Lambert and Ham and Franco Harris and Bradshaw and Swan Stallworth. They were still there, so you couldn't understand why they lost in 81 when it was the Raiders and Philly, and you're like, where were the Steelers? They weren't even in the championship game. It was San Diego and Oakland. And you wonder, well, where did the Steelers go? They could have three-peated. They had the team. They just, like I said, they lost Joe Green and Wagner, really. So they were probably the best chance to three-peat, and the Niners should have three-peated. They had the Giants. If they just don't fumble, even if they took on 3 knees and punted the ball the way Phil Simms wasn't going to beat them. So that would have been anything but the fumble. And even if Young had faked it into the line and then ran around the end, would have been a better play. You wouldn't have risked the fumble. But, Roger Craig choked. But that was probably the best. That was a great Niner team that would have won 3 in a row, unfortunately. But it's hard to do because of normally injuries, right? You got to play more games, right? So you're playing 20 games. I think the 17-week thing is a stupidest thing I've ever. On one hand, they don't want to kick off because they don't want to get people injured, and you can't touch the quarterback because he might get injured. But let's play 17 games. What? I mean, how is that good? Let's play games on Thursday night. So I'd play Sunday, Thursday. Wait, are you worried about injuries or are you not worried about injuries? Because if you're worried about injuries, it's Sunday to Sunday. And maybe you throw in a Monday night, maybe. But even that, you're fucking around with. But this Thursday game is bullshit. And 17 games is more bullshit if you're worried about injuries like you say you are, but we know you really aren't. I think that's a big problem. But that's why it's hard to really three-peat because theoretically you're playing, the Niners, let's say Kansas City, they'll play 20 games. They'll play 3 playoff games. 1, 2, 3, that's 20. And then the Super Bowl, they'll play 21 games. And the Niners will play 20 games. And that's okay, 1 year, and then you rest, and then you've won, so you're not as passionate because you won. I think that's what hurt KC this year. Usually the winners kind of sleeps through the first part of the year going, we're the Super Bowl champs. It's not the same anger that you get when you lost. And then they finally woke up, and here they go. Of course, they're not going to look as good early in the year. But then when it gets, oh shit, we got to make the playoffs, they win. And once they're in the playoffs, they win. And that's really what the key is. But with all these games, so they're going to play 21 games. And then you wonder, you got injuries, and now let's go. Now they're lucky is Mahomes is not the one getting injured. He got injured last year and played with the high ankle sprain like he didn't have one. I guess you take those needles, anything, you don't feel anything. So that's why it would be hard for KC to three-peat is just because now they played 21 fucking games. And you might here's San Diego who played 17 games. That's 4 less games of injuries. And now you're resting, and now you're getting a new coach, and now you're mad, and we're going to show you. And so the whole thing, that's why it's hard to win 3, is the injuries and the extra games. To get to the Super Bowl, you're playing at least 3 extra games, more than other teams don't play. So that's a big problem. Greg John, Dallas won 2 in a row in the 90s. Yeah, with Jimmy Johnson, 3 out of 4. Raiders were good in the 70s and early 80s. Yeah, I know that, Greg John. I should do baseball. Okay. Thank you, Greg John. Well, the Raiders were good in the 60s and the 70s. They were in the second Super Bowl. They lost to the Jets in the championship game in 68. They always played Kansas City. Kansas City was great in the 60s, as was Oakland. And then in the 70s, they didn't have Stabler until the 70s. So in the 60s, they were winning with Daryl LaMonica and even George Blanda a little bit. But it's all the players. When they got rid of Stabler, they then went to what's his name? The guy from Stanford. What's his name? Anyway, so they went to him. But that's the key is you got to have players. So Casey's good because of Mahomes. If Mahomes gets injured or sits out or gets traded, Casey's no good anymore. Look at New England. They have Tom Brady. They go to all these Super Bowls. People want to give credit to Belichick for some reason. It's all Brady. It's like the Bulls with Jordan. Jordan is the reason, not the coach. And then Jordan goes to play baseball for 3 years because they found out he was gambling on baseball and he had to sit out. That's why he played baseball. And then they lose. And then he comes back and they win 3 more. And then he retires and you never hear from the Bulls again. It's that one player that it's Mahomes that's making Kansas City. That's why we bet them, and that's why they win. They have that player, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and then you don't ever hear from him again. So that's what New England's going through, right? They win all this because Brady's there. As soon as he's gone, they don't win shit. They make the playoffs one year, then this year they win 4 games with Mac Jones to replace Brady. Well, good luck there. But that's what it is. Now, if New England can get Bo Nix or Penix or Daniels or Hartman, then all of a sudden they're good again. I mean, that's what it is that one superstar player. That's what you need. That's why when I say Carolina should get rid of Young or Chicago should get rid of Fields, because you can tell they're not superstar players. Because look at Burrow. He comes in and they are in the playoffs. He doesn't need 5 years to learn it. He's good right away. So Burrow's a superstar. So Cincinnati, as long as he's healthy, will be good. We get it. It's because of Burrow. And then, by the way, he's got Chase. So, boom, they got the 1-2 punch. Look out. That's why we bet Cincinnati as dogs. But Burrow comes right in as the superstar, right? It didn't take him he didn't need a year to learn and get ready as Mahomes. So they found it. That's why I say, but Young sucked this year. Fields, I mean, he's now 3 years and he still sucks. So that's why I say what I say, because I can see what these superstars do. Montana came in, I think in 80 they weren't good, but 81 they go to the Super Bowl and win it. Okay, there's Joe Montana. I saw him at Notre Dame, and I go, this guy's a winner, and he was. And it's right away. It really doesn't, you either see it or you don't. And I can see it. So I can't see it with Fields, and I don't see it with Young, and I don't see it with Stroud, and I don't see it. Richardson, God knows what the hell he was drafted for. And I don't see it with Drake May. I do see it with Daniels. I do see it with Bo Nix and Penix and Hartman. I see it. And I see it with the Tampa guy, Trask. And I know they're going to be good. I don't know what let's play Mayfield instead. That's bad coaching. I saw it with the Lions guy, whatchamacallit, their lefty, Kellen Moore. I saw it at college at Boise. The guy was a winner. The Lions stuck with Stafford and didn't do shit. And then Moore went to Dallas, played 1 game, threw for 400 yards and broke his ankle, and that was it. It's a shame, but that's you can see their stars. Burrow, not a problem. Bennett at Georgia, not a problem. Guy's a star. But when you get to Ohio State and Alabama, it's a system thing. All they're doing is having 3 fast receivers run down the field, and they're playing teams where they don't have the secondary, so they're open, and you want to credit the quarterback. Lamar, you want to, all he does is run, so he's the best player in the league because he runs. That's not, he's a quarterback. And Jimmy Johnson, I heard him go, well, everybody says he can't throw. Well, now look at him. What did he do, Jimmy? He ran. He scored 2 touchdowns running. He ran the whole half. What the fuck are you talking about? He doesn't know how to throw. He still doesn't know how to throw. So I just sit there, scratch my head that Jimmy Johnson looks like an idiot. But that's why we bet Mahomes, and Purdy is close to it. I saw him at Iowa State. He never really impressed me that much, but I'm not surprised he's capable at the Niners. And it's basically he fits in like he did at Iowa State. Oh, I'll give the ball to McCaffrey. I'll hit Deebo Samuel. Oh, there's Kittle. So he sees the field well. He's not Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Brady. He's good. Maybe he's like a Dan Fouts or something, where he's good. He can hit the guys, but he's smart enough to run McCafferty and, see the blitz coming and get rid of it. And that's my biggest bitch with Lamar and Hurts and these guys. They can't read the blitz, and therefore all of a sudden they'll go back to pass, and then they're going, where do I throw the ball? And the real good Montana would know as he walks up to the line, oh, I'm going right there. And that they 1-2 throw, and Brady 1-2 throw. They know where they're going. Stabler, all those real good quarterbacks knew where they were going with the ball. That's why they get rid of it quickly, and these guys don't, and that's their problem. Yeah, Plunkett. Yeah. Plunkett's face was too big for the helmet. He looked like a bulldog. He had a strange nose. Plunkett was one that he was good at Stanford in the 70s. He beat Michigan and Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, and goes to New England, and he's way overmatched, and then goes to a few other teams. I think went to San Francisco, and again, he played at Stanford. And then finally he goes to Oakland, and he was, I think, a backup there. I think it was the Houston quarterback who was the quarterback, Pastorini. They traded Pastorini for Stabler, and Pastorini got hurt, so Plunkett came in. So he wasn't even the star, and then he just was able to throw the ball long to Cliff Branch, and that's why he was good. But he wasn't. He was in a good situation. I think they had Marcus Allen, and so Oakland was a well-balanced team. So for him, with Shell and whatchamacallit, blocking, he was able to have all day and throw the ball. But Upshaw and Shell. I know I'm seeing the players. I got to just name them. So he was, but he wasn't it. When you saw him at college, he was okay. But then when he got to the pros, he didn't have it. And he got murdered at New England. He'd get sacked all the time, a lot of interceptions. So they didn't run the right offense for him. And that's the problem. He's in the right offense at Stanford. New England doesn't run the right offense. The offensive coordinators, to draft somebody, they must switch their system to the guy they're drafting. So in other words, Brady was really nothing at Michigan, and he goes to New England, and he can't even make the team. And then but then they adapted their offense a little, or whatever offense they were using was better for Brady. Because at Michigan, he couldn't even start. I mean, he had a few good games, but basically, I remember watching the game, and you'd have their superstar quarterback. I can't think of his name. God. Anyway, he wouldn't. Then they'd bring in Brady, and I go, "Oh shit, the Brady Bunch guy." And I remember watching, and I was like, "Oh shit, Brady's going in. Like, we have no chance now." So I don't know. He wasn't that good in college, to tell you the truth. And New England made a mistake, probably drafting the guy in the 7th round. Probably should not have been drafted, based on what he did in Michigan. I didn't. He had a good good second half against Michigan State. And then he had the good Orange Bowl against Alabama. He had one game. He didn't beat Ohio State. He didn't play in the Ohio State games. So, you never know. That was just a fluke. That's why he went in the 7th round. But that's the way it is. So you've got to adapt to the personality of who you're drafting. So like Hartman. If you draft Hartman, you better run the Wake Forest offense, and then you'll get 50 touchdowns from the guy. Notre Dame did not run the Wake Forest offense, and they really handcuffed the guy running this other offense that he wasn't very good in. Jordan Love at Utah State, the junior year, he was great. The switch coaches, they switched coordinators, they switched their offense, and he sucked as a senior. So I think what Green Bay is doing is running the junior offense for him where he was successful. He looks pretty comfortable at Green Bay. He looks better. He looks okay. He's not the greatest. Again, when they needed him last week, doesn't show up. I mean, I want the guy who's going to win the game for me at the end. That's who I get excited about. That's why it's Burrow and Mahomes and then the rest of the guys. So the Jets really got fucked this year when Rodgers got hurt, the first series. So hopefully Rodgers can play next year. The Jets were probably the only team that could beat KC. Because if you put Rodgers against Mahomes and that Jet defense, the Jet defense can definitely hurt Kansas City. So if you allowed that in Breece Hall and they had good receivers, if Rodgers plays, they're probably playing KC this weekend. I mean, you can. It's like if Mahomes goes out, and you got Kansas City without Mahomes, they don't got anything. They're not winning with Blaine Gabbert. So that's really the key to it. But this will be an interesting draft. This is why there's 7, 8 new coaches every year because they hire like idiots like Carolina did. Why would they hire Ron Rivera in the first place? I mean, he wasn't any good. So he sucks at Carolina. They fire him. Washington hires him. And they go 5 years where they suck. Then they finally let him go. Now I think he's a defensive coordinator somewhere. It just seems weird. It's like they keep picking guys up that suck. And they don't get the real good coach. Okay, give credit for San Diego getting Harbaugh. That was a good thing. But the rest of these guys, Dallas is keeping McCarthy. What do you need to let him go? I mean, and Dak Prescott is your quarterback. What are you watching that you think he's good? And down the list, Miami keeps their coach. What are you looking at? Tagliabue hasn't beaten a good team yet, and they're going to play Buffalo twice a year. The Jets are going to get better if they get a quarterback. The Jets are going to be the team that you're going to really scratch your head at in the draft. Zach Wilson was a very high pick, and yet I don't know if it's him or the offensive coordinator. I think it's the offensive coordinator who fucked up Russell Wilson last year, but he's Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator. But if Aaron Rodgers ain't there, forget about it. So I don't know. They've got to figure out what they're doing with Rodgers, and probably need to get rid of Zach Wilson. But I don't know that he's the fault. But I would pick up a Hartman or a Bo Nix if I could there. You get Bo Nix, you're fine. Even if Rodgers plays, I got Bo Nix learning, and how long is Rodgers going to be there? So I would definitely go after that. So I'm expecting Chicago to trade Fields. I'm not expecting Carolina to get rid of Young, but they should. And I'm not expecting Indy to get rid of Richardson, but they should. And I would probably get rid of Stroud and get a better pick. If I could get it into the top 5, the Daniels, Bo Nix, Penix, Caleb, and Hartman, I would, and then you get Brock Bowers. If I could get in there, I would trade my quarterback. These second-tier quarterbacks that I just mentioned, they're not. You can see they're nothing, right? They either are Joe Montana or Joe Burrow or Mahomes right away, or they're not. They don't turn into it. Mahomes didn't turn into Mahomes. He was. Burrow is already superstar. And the guys that aren't very good aren't very. Daniel Jones at the Giants is not all of a sudden a good quarterback. Or the New England guy, or Pittsburgh, or, go down the list. They're not good. Kirk Cousins still sucks. They should have traded him 5 years ago. I don't know. They hold on to him, and then they wonder why they never win. Granted, he got hurt, but they weren't winning with him. They did better with whatchamacallit, with Joshua Dobbs. They won more games than with Cousins. So I don't know. I go down this list. Cleveland has to go to Flacco. I mean, okay, who do you got? Thompson Robinson, I like. Is he it? I don't know, but I don't like Deshaun Watson. I don't like half the quarterbacks they used. How they won, I don't know. Tagovailoa, I'd get rid of. Mahomes, yeah. Mason Rudolph, really? You're going to go to the Super Bowl with Mason Rudolph? Dak Prescott, you got that. I would trade him in a heartbeat. I would trade him. I would have went to Will Grier, but they traded Will Grier. Stafford, okay, but he's at the end. Goff, I'd get rid of. Hurts, I'd get rid of. I mean, these guys are not good. I would trade Lamar if anybody would take him, but now you sign him to a $50 million contract. Nobody's gonna trade for him. Purdy, I like. Mayfield, he's at the end. I'd go to Trask. Josh Allen, he's okay, and Goff and Purdy. So very bad quarterbacks in the league itself. They're trying to go to more running quarterbacks, but yet who's in the championship? Mahomes, Goff, and Purdy. None of them run. And Lamar, who runs, who won't be in there soon, who's never been there because he runs. You'll see Kansas City just blink at him. I would expect Spagnuolo to blitz him 80% of the time tomorrow, and he'll just run around like a chicken with his head chopped off, getting sacked over and over and over, or throwing interceptions. I think he'll throw 2 picks, and I don't know. Maybe he'll run for a touchdown or 2. I don't think he'll throw for any. Anyway. The running quarterback's not the answer. I don't know why anybody thought it was. Look at Hurts. They blitzed him. He looked like shit. They lost to Tampa 32-9. So they have, and it's all this push, this rugby play that they run. That's not good quarterbacking. So Hurts showed his real worth this year, and I don't know. Love might be all right, but it's the coach. But that's where you try to, if you want to be good, Oakland, San Diego's got Herbert, they're fine. But Oakland, the Bears, Carolina need to get into the top 5 and get one of these quarterbacks. I don't know the draft order. San Diego could be really close to getting whatchamacallit, Brock Purdy. No, what's his name? Powers. The Georgia tight end who we mentioned 5 times already. God, my mind's toast. But that's where what's his name? I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyway, they're close to that. That's what San Diego should do, is get the Georgia tight end. God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Fuck. Charges half, Pat and Bauer. Yeah, there. Thank you. Yeah, there. That's perfect. He'll be there. They don't need the quarterback. Pick him up. You got Keenan Allen and Williams, and then pick another receiver from Washington later on, and then and grab some defense in the second round. Some Michigan guys that Harbaugh likes, and then you'll see them in the Super Bowl. They'll be dropping punts. He needs to get a punt returner, not from Michigan. But the 5th pick would be, it should be what? Caleb and Nix and Hartman and Daniels and Penix. There's your 5 picks, and they're all first-round draft picks that are fine. Although I heard an interesting one, like Goff said, being picked 1, you lose the chip on your shoulder because you were the first pick. So I would almost probably never draft the first pick, because I know I'm not going to get anything out of them. I need to get the second and say, look, you should have been the first pick. So that's where I would go with it. But it's that's where we stand with it. I think I'm going to the coin store. Well, it's a jewelry store, but they sell my gold and silver just to check on it. I don't think I'll buy anything. Maybe 10 ounces of silver. It's so manipulated that listening yesterday to McGuire, where he does say that they're about to blow up as the BRICS come out with gold-backed currency because they don't want the dollar being the primary currency anymore. And most of the countries don't want the dollar, US dollar. So as they're all trying to go to this BRICS currency, that'll blow up comex, and then the silver price will go to its 400 or 500 an ounce that it should be at. See, we want a physical price of gold and silver, not this derivative bullshit price. And I think people are tired of having this derivative price, wondering, well, why the fuck is silver 25 an ounce? Coca-Cola is going to be 25 a bottle soon, and you still have silver at 25 an ounce. And I think that's what it is. So, it's tempting me to go buy another 10 or 20 ounces, but I got 600, and I'll probably give Daria some and some gold when I meet her. I always give my girls some gold to that way they can take care of themselves. When it goes really high, they'll have a nice time. But we will see. Anyway, yes, somebody asked me, is it an opinion? And I said, no, it's not an opinion. This is what happened. That's why I read the history. So everywhere in history, the top power had gold, gave up on the gold, and we're no longer the top power. And it happened to Spain and France and Amsterdam and England. They all went to war for some reason. And then, I just think that if you have the gold and you have the rich, people come to take it. And, it's like the snake in the Garden of Eden. Oh, eat the apple, eat the apple. And I think there's always a snake. So you're on the gold standard and you're doing well. And then here comes the snake to take your gold and fuck you up. And you get off the gold standard, and then nobody knows, Spain's not the top power, neither is France, neither is Amsterdam. So I think that's what happens to you. You slowly lose it. And, but I think it's the snake or the dragon that comes in that fucks you up. So that's interesting. But I mean, look at New England. They fucked them. They were the kings, and then Brady left, and then they can't replace him, and now they suck. So what I do is I'm smart enough to realize the players and why. That's why I bet Mahomes. But if Mahomes isn't there anymore, I'm not. Well, like Cincinnati, we bet on Joe Burrow. We win, and then Joe Burrow gets hurt. We're not betting on Cincinnati without Joe Burrow. We're betting on Joe Burrow. And if Joe Burrow were to be traded to Oakland or Philadelphia, we would then bet Joe Burrow wherever he goes. We made a fortune on him at LSU that last year. Never heard of him before then. And the junior year he was okay, but the senior year they were scoring 50 points a game, and he threw for 400 yards at least. And I didn't even know, who Chase and Jefferson were, and they were his receivers. I mean, so that's what you do, is you try to you play that, and then you see what changes. So in economics, they got gold, fine. But gold's always the common denominator. Back to the Romans. Whoever had gold was number one. They were the Alabama of the world. And that's what you see. That's why we buy gold, because that's it. That's the key to surviving and having wealth, is gold, basically. Now, they don't want to tell you that because they want you in the U.S. dollar, because that's where the Ponzi scheme is, the banks. And the Ponzi scheme is that the banks and Wall Street are basically scamming you, right? Oh, buy stocks. Well, they get commission on it. Put your money in the bank and get 5% on a CD or an annuity. And they make a lot more than the 5% on your money. So it's the Ponzi scheme where you think, how often do you sell your stock? Do you even know how and why to sell your stock? I mean, sure, you know how, but do you know why and when to sell your stock? So you buy Microsoft at 100, it goes to 120. Do you sell it? Do you take your profit? No, because you don't think like that. I think like that because I gamble. I take my money. I play poker. I get up a couple hundred. I leave. I play craps. I hit a few numbers. I go before the 7 out because I know what the traps are. And when I played stocks, I would buy the gold stock and buy it at 10:30 and get out by 4 every day. Well, most days. That's what you would do. But you gotta take your winnings, and that's what most people don't do. They don't understand to take their winnings, and therefore they don't. Just like football, you take your winnings every weekend. Okay, I win. I add it to my bankroll. Now I increase my bets because my bankroll is higher. That's what I do. You can see my history. Boom. I'm betting 7, 8, 9 unit plays early in the year. Now we're up to 21 units. My lock's 31 units this weekend. And, but it doesn't matter because my bankroll keeps growing and growing and growing. But I do it based on the players, learning the players as they go. Who can I bet on? Who's the coaches? You're telling me Ollie Gordon's playing next year. Fine, I'll bet Oklahoma State every week. You got him running the ball. They can't stop him. So that's what you look for. I'll look at Wisconsin with Van Dyke. I'll look at Rising at Utah, and I'll bet the hell out of them. Apparently, USC's got Joe Smith as the new quarterback who threw 6 touchdowns in the bowl. Okay, I can bet USC. It'll be the same over team and prime, and then Oregon and Washington get new quarterbacks. We'll have to. That's what we're waiting for. Are they any good? Was Nixon Penix any good, or was it the system? And then DeBoer is not even there. I think he's the Alabama coach. So now we'll have to start betting Alabama because of the coach. So we'll see everything. But basically, that's what you're looking at. So gold is the Mahomes, right, of money. So I'll go to the store. I'll see what's happening. I know the prices are still low, and people get frustrated. Why are they low? Why are they low? And they're low because they don't want you. They want you in the Ponzi scheme. So the U.S. keeps the gold price down on purpose. It's fixed. It's not real because they want you in the dollars. So you Wall Street and stocks and bonds and real estate trust, or you're in the bank with CDs and money markets and stuff like that. So they want you in that game. And in gold, you're not in that game. You're totally off that game. And that's where you want to be. You don't want to play their game because their game's fixed. But you don't even know it's fixed. You go buy stocks. You don't know it's fixed. They control the price there just like they control the price of gold. How many times have you woken up and your stocks dropped 20 points overnight, right? You go to bed, oh, I'm at 140, and then you wake up and you're at 110. You're like, what the hell happened? I couldn't get out of my stock because it went from 140 to 110. You ever try to understand that? Like, you're getting fucked. So gold prevents physical gold. You must buy physical. Prevents all the bullshit. And that's what you're doing. And as I read yesterday, the top 5 powers starts with the Roman Empire. What do? They get rid of their gold and silver and they're out. Then you get into Amsterdam. They have gold and then I guess they get out of it. And then Spain and then France, Napoleon. And then here comes, that's why they were the leaders. They had gold. Here's Napoleon goes into Russia. What? You got all the gold. What the hell are you doing in Russia? And then you get to there's no value to defeat Russia. You shouldn't even play them. There's no okay, they got oil and they got diamonds and gold. They got the natural resources. But I don't know that you try to fight them for it. You just buy them. That let them do the work. But that's it. There's no reason to be there. So anyway, that's what you're looking at is gold gets you out of the fixed game, out of the banks. I'll give you a 5% and we make 10% on you. I mean, and then you have the government with the inflation. As I read yesterday, there's no reason the government should never control the money because there's no check. And that's why there's inflation, and that's why the value of the dollar is going down. That's why there's a recession. And so we just get sick of it, and we're going, you know what? We're going to buy gold, and we're going to wait till gold finally goes up. And here comes the BRICS and the Russians to save us because they're going to go to gold because they know that's the only thing to go to. They're smart. They understand gold's what you buy, and then you can be number one, and they want to be number one. So they get the gold. It goes up. They're more powerful. And guess what? Those without gold sink. That's the U.S. That's half the world. But because of the BRICS, they'll come out with a BRICS-backed gold, so everybody can have the BRICS-backed gold. We have gold. We need to cash it in. We cash it in for a BRICS-backed gold, but most of it we just keep and just keeping our safe going, okay, we've got all this money in gold. We're off the radar. Nobody knows we have it. No taxes on it. Like if you put your money in the bank account and there's savings or dividends, you get taxed on it. You don't get taxed on gold. Nobody knows you have it. Only when you sell it. If you sell it in the U.S., which I'm not sure we're going to, we'll have to see how it breaks out. We might go to Switzerland to sell it, or Romania, or somewhere in Spain or Portugal. We don't know where we're going to sell it, but it probably won't be here, and we probably won't pay tax on it. And that's how you do it. But I don't know that I don't want to sell the gold for this money, right? If you sell your gold, you don't want this. You're getting out of this. This is zero. So I don't want to sell my gold for zero. I want to sell my gold for something. So probably it'll be for, unless you really need it, but that's why I buy a lot of 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 ounce, and 1/2 ounce also. Not just ounces, because all right, gold's 50,000 an ounce. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell an ounce for 50, unless I, for some reason, need the 50. But if I need the 50, I can probably give whoever the ounce to pay for whatever I owe. But a dime is 5,000. That's probably good. And then keep in mind the difference between Bitcoin and gold. Gold doesn't need money to be valued. Gold is money and is itself value. An ounce of gold buys a house, buys a car, buys golf clubs, whatever, different denominations of gold, and it'll work in every country. The Bitcoin's not priced by itself. It needs the dollar. So when the dollar goes out, so the difference between Bitcoin and your house is 500 grand, and you got 500 grand in Bitcoin. The dollar goes to zero, Bitcoin goes to zero and out. The house goes to 500, goes to zero, but then gets repriced in gold and or silver. People will take gold and silver because they know it's real money. Nobody's taking Bitcoin because they don't know the value, especially if there's no dollar to value it in. That's your biggest Ponzi scheme of Bitcoin. So everybody thinks Bitcoin's a get-rich-quick scheme. Gold's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but you will get rich in it. And that's what nobody understands. They don't understand the price fixing. And so once that gets broken, and that's what the Russians and BRICS are going to do, is break the Ponzi scheme of comex, right? Once they break comex out, now the paper gold is gone, the paper silver is gone, and now it's a physical price. And now once you have the physical price, we get a much higher price. And BRICS is going to want it for oil and energy. They're going to want gold, not dollars. And then the game's all over. So in other words, we're betting on New England, and then Brady retires. Now we don't bet New England anymore because Belichick doesn't know what he's doing. The quarterback, Mac Jones, is terrible. So we don't bet New England, right? Because Brady's gone. The U.S. has number one, but Russia and BRICS just signed Joe Montana, only we call him gold. So now the bet goes to the Joe Montana. Now we bet the gold and the BRICS gold-backed currency because they got 100,000 tons of gold. So we now bet on them. And since Brady's gone, we don't bet New England. since the price fixing won't work anymore, we don't bet on the United States. We start betting against them, and we bet who's got Montana now, who's got Brady. Oh, the brics team, because they've got gold, and we bet on gold. You always bet on gold in football, in baseball, in economics. You're betting gold. And if you bet gold, you don't lose. You didn't lose with Brady. We're betting Mahomes. You don't lose with Mahomes. And then Joe Burrow, he's next. So you bet on them and you win. It's a very simple thing. But the U.S. is fucking everything. They're the ones who got rid of Brady and Mahomes, and they're all gone. And here comes Russia with them. So now you turn your attention and you bet on those guys. And it's very simple. So that's why I'm going to the gold store, so I can go buy some more gold and silver, because that's the winning team. And I know that. So it's, and then Luke goes, how much should you buy? And it's the answer is as much as you can, because it's like, how much do I bet on Mahomes? Well, as much as you can, because he should win the game. He's Mahomes, like last week against Buffalo, as much as you can. He might lose, but you got to bet Mahomes. And it's the same. You bet Montana, you bet Mahomes, you bet Brady, you bet Aaron Rodgers, you bet Jimmy Johnson. They do lose once in a while, but generally you're going to win. And with gold and silver, you can't lose. They're not going to go down. They're only going to go up a lot, because people do know that gold is the answer. And once we break this paper bullshit comex and go to a physical price, which is what Mark McGuire told us yesterday, that's where we're at. So we know we're not far from them breaking comex up, even though they don't want it broke. They don't have a choice, because, hey, Mahomes is on Kansas City. Sorry, New England. You don't want to go and be bad, but guess what? You lost Brady, and now here comes Mahomes, and now here's Kansas City. And then if they get rid of Mahomes, you say, well, Kansas City doesn't want to go bad, but they got rid of Mahomes. So it's sort of like all these countries getting rid of their gold and then wondering why they fall down. So the U.S. doesn't want to be second or third, but they're going to be, because they don't have any gold. They weren't smart enough to collect gold. In fact, we got off of it. All the scheming and corruption created the U.S. to stay strong from 71. We should have been gone by 81. We shouldn't have lasted 50 years, but now the gig's up. Everybody grabbed the gold, and now those with the gold win. And so you better have gold if you want to win. It's as simple as that. Same thing. Titus, good class as always. Thank you for your time and effort. Appreciate it. Thank you, Titus. Appreciate that. And that's why I do them live, so you could make your comments, as well as then, like, Bobby's not here, he can watch, and he does that a lot. He says, I watched your show. So I'm keeping it mostly to football with the football, but when I can correlate the two, I do. But you're welcome, Titus. It's 1:11. See, there's no football today, so normally I would leave by now. The games would be on. I've been on 2 hours. I'll probably leave soon. I'll go swim. I think I'll get Chinese tonight. And that'll be about it. Otherwise, so that's really what you're looking for, is you want to bet on gold. And in football, it's Mahomes, it's Burrow, maybe it's Herbert with that's what you're looking for, right? So when you look at the coach, let's look at it this way. When you look at Dallas with McCarthy, right? He's not gold. Dak Prescott's not gold. You don't want to bet him. We realize they're not gold, but the owner or the GM, same guy, Jones, doesn't understand it. So he keeps Prescott, and you're not going to win with Prescott. And he keeps McCarthy, and you're certainly not going to win with McCarthy. So he doesn't get it. He doesn't have gold. He needs gold, but he doesn't get the gold. And that's what Fields is now, the gold. And that's what I'm saying. I can spot the gold when I see it. Burrow, gold. Mahomes, gold. Fields, no gold. This young, no, and then they bring in these coaches. What did New England do? They didn't bring in gold. Tennessee got rid of gold, and now who knows what they got? It's all this liberal shit anyway. With the let's be fair and bring in minorities to coach, or let's have the minority running quarterbacks because they're minority. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And I don't know, and then you're not going to win. Now, you're okay with Mahomes. He's not, to me, a minority. He's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback. And so only the quarterback wins, but everybody wants to play these stupid liberal games of, well, he runs, so, oh, Lamar's the best player in the league. Why? Because he runs. He doesn't throw. Not a good quarterback. So I don't know what they're looking at to think he's a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He's a good runner. He's fast. He's elusive. So I understand that. But he's not gold. Maybe he's silver, but I don't even think – I can't count on him to win the game tomorrow. I am not betting on Lamar over Mahomes. Never happened. I'll bet Burrow over Mahomes, which I did last year. In the championship game, I had Burrow in 9 points, and we won. Burrow's Burrow, but I will not do Lamar over that. I won't do Hurts. I had Mahomes over Hurts. Same thing. They were the dog. I don't know why Kansas City wins the game. Kansas City will figure you out, and Mahomes can get it done. He's gold. And so what you're always looking for in pro or college or poker or whatever is gold. So you're looking for the gold hand, or, oh, I know he's bluffing, or he thinks I have, 2 pair and I got a full house. I'll give a bad tell, so he thinks I don't have a hand, or he thinks I have a good hand. Whatever it is, you're always looking for gold, and that's the key. So look for gold here, and that's the point of it. So I'll probably go buy some silver. It's 1:15. I think they're open till 2 or 3, but I will leave now to go get some silver, I think. It's always a good day to go pick up some silver. I don't like it though that much. The new silver, they're all out of the old silver that I would get, and they can't get that in anymore. So they got this new silver, which I don't like it. So I might just get 10 ounces. I gave my friend 10 ounces, so I probably should buy it back here. But it's so cheap in price that you just buy some more. So I think I'll buy some more. Anyway, so that's what's happening. Good luck. Again, this is a class. You need to think of it as to learn, not I don't want your predictions in here unless you give me a reason why. I like this because of this. Okay, fine. I like Frisco because of Montana. Okay, that makes sense, but I probably already told you that. So please, this is about you giving your prediction. This is a class where I pick 75%, and I'm teaching you how I do it and what I look for and the trends and everything else. That's what this is about. And the same with economics, of course. I'm teaching you Austrian economics because nobody knows it. I'm teaching you gold because nobody knows it, apparently, very few people. And it's very good to use in everyday life. Even girlfriends, you're looking for gold. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for gold in everything. And once you find it and you'll know you found it, that's what you want to be with. Those are your friends. I don't want a lot of friends. I do want gold friends, to put it kind of bluntly. So a lot of people, I don't have time. Sorry, you're these guys that just rumble on at the pool. Oh, the water's hot. Imagine we're in a hot tub and the water's hot, and somebody says, "Oh, the water's so hot." Yeah, it's a fucking hot tub. Of course the water's hot. I don't want to talk to those people, and they're very talkative, and they waste your brain, and they waste you're listening to crap, so you don't want to listen to it. Allen and Lamar are both running quarterbacks. Who you think is better? I think Allen's better because he's a better thrower than Lamar. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Now, we saw KC 27, Buffalo 24. What happened at the end of the game? They needed a touchdown. Allen can't get it there. They stop, and then they have to kick a field goal to tie when they need a touchdown to win, because Mahomes is going to beat you in overtime, so you need the touchdown. They settle for the field goal, and they miss it, and then Mahomes runs the clock out. And that's what you really need to see here is let's see what Lamar's never done anything in the playoffs. So giving him a win against Houston doesn't thrill me at all. And KC's got a really strong defense. So if Lamar wins, then I would say Lamar's better than Allen because he could beat KC. But Buffalo had him at home and couldn't do anything. So we'll see what happens. I think they're going to blitz the hell out of Lamar, and he'll be deer in the headlight like he usually is. And I think if you can stop him from running, Baltimore doesn't have a chance. You can't stop Mahomes because you can't get him, and then he throws to Kelsey, and he throws it quickly, and he can read the defense, and they get Pacheco now. So very hard to beat Mahomes, and so it really doesn't matter. But Baltimore has played good. They killed the Niners. I give them credit for that. I think I don't know who else they killed a few good teams. I think Philadelphia or Dallas or San Francisco. I know they killed Frisco. So they look good there because they could beat Purdy, but Mahomes gives them a different problem, and they're going to have a problem with that. They killed Detroit because Goff doesn't know what he's doing. So basically, this is their Achilles is going to be Mahomes, he's everybody's Achilles, right? Because he's very hard to sack, and he finds the open receiver. And there's Kelsey, who's a mismatch to everybody because he's a big tight end. So he runs over these little corners and safeties, and he's too fast for the linebackers. That's what KC has. And now you bring in Pacheco. So if you do play him too much for the pass, they run Pacheco down your throat. And then they're driving, and then Mahomes sees a wide open Kelsey like he did last week. And there you go. I got to laugh at all these conspiracies, the color of the logo or Taylor Swift or all this. No, it's the best team wins. There's no conspiracies. You can only fuck up a few calls in the game. You can't fuck up every call to go to Kansas City so Taylor Swift can go to the Super Bowl. I have a feeling she'll be there. It's Mahomes. So everybody wants to see Mahomes like everybody wanted Brady and Magic and Bird and those guys, Jordan. So anyway, I'm off to get some gold and silver. Have a nice day. www.teaserking.com. I think I have till 2:00, so I better leave now. Okay. Have a good day, everybody. I will be on tomorrow about 11 o'clock. Game starts at 3 and 6:30. So have a good day. Those are your picks. Take KC over Baltimore and the Niners 37-24. So we like that game over. Kansas City in 10 over in the Niner game. All right, everybody. Good luck to you. Have a nice day.